Welcome back to another episode of Zack's Garage. This is a special episode because my editor is here and she is videoing me today. This is Mickey. She's visiting for Thanksgiving. Today we are doing a video about snowblower maintenance before the big snow hits. I'm Zack and this is my odd garage. Today we're working on my 1979 Toro 1132. The 11 stands for 11 horsepower engine. The 32 is a 32-inch width on the blower. So obviously it looks a little rough because it is a 79, but I've had very good luck with this. It pretty much starts every time on the first try. I drilled a hole in here so I could spray starter fluid right into the carburetor and it should start right up. After we start it, we're going to go into some maintenance stuff. So let's just walk through the start procedure. I'm going to make sure it's in neutral so it's not going to drive away. My wheels are also unengaged. I need my key to be in the on position. I'm going to turn the choke down a little bit to let a little bit of extra gas in there. I'm going to get my starter fluid. We're going to give it a little bit of throttle. Good courage. That's right. Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about is fuel. With an engine like this that you're going to only use part of the year in the winter because it's a snowblower, I like to use 90 that's ethanol free so that you don't have any worry about the ethanol gumming up the carburetors on an older engine like this, or even on the new engines they still have some carburetors. So I use 90 in this. I know that the fuel is still going to be good the next year. If you use something else, there's a chance that it'll be gummed up at the beginning. You might want to drain out your fuel from last year. It might have gone bad. Usually fuel goes bad in like 6 months. The other thing to not worry about fuel going bad, you can use like a winterizer like this. This is the only one I have. I don't usually use this. I use something like Stable. They make a nice winterizer. You add it to your gas tank, whatever the mixture is, and then it sits over winter and it blocks gumming up. Even if you use that before you put it away, you're still going to want to use something just in case there's any gumming when you bring it out in the next season. So I use Seafoam. I'm going to add a little bit to the gas. This one is 1 ounce per gallon. I'm guessing this is maybe 1 or 2 gallons. So I'm going to just add a little bit to the fuel. The other thing to check, if you have a inline fuel filter, you want to make sure it's still clean. This one's pretty clean. The gas looks clean. These are very cheap and easy to change. You just pop these fuel lines off. You also want to maybe just check your fuel lines for any cracking. These ones are fairly new, so that's all good there. We also saw it fire up without a problem earlier. We're going to add a little bit of this. This would be a good time if your engine's running funny to look at your carburetor. Carburetor, as I've said before, I think in other videos, the carburetor mixes the air and fuel that goes into your engine. Mine's been running really good, so I'm not going to worry about cleaning it this year. Maybe in the future I will, but this is a simple piece to pull out. It's a couple bolts that'll come out. You're going to want to just pull it apart. I'll probably do a video in the future about a carburetor cleaning. Pull it out, you get carb cleaner, spray it all over there. You want to get new gaskets and, if you can, new needles and seats to just freshen everything up. Alright, so the three things your engine needs to run is air, fuel, and spark. So we already talked about air and fuel with the carburetor and putting fuel in the gas tank with the winterizer and the stabilizer when you pull it out. We're going to quickly look at the spark plug. I know this one looks a little bit rough. It's because it's been sitting outside, but I changed this when I got it, so I know that it's probably pretty good. I'm just going to take this boot off, tuck it over here. I can't find my socket, so I'm going to have to use my opening wrench today. Okay, so this thing is hot because we just ran it. It looks like normal wear and tear. It doesn't look wet to me. If you see any wet oil around the plug, you know that there is a leak with your piston rings or your valve seals. So this just looks like normal wear and tear. You can see the black is carbon buildup. That could also mean that it's running rich on fuel. So maybe I can do a little adjustment to the carburetor. And there's another one to worry about. If you see any white, that means it's burning oil or the additives that you're adding. So that stabilizer or the winterizer. So there would be white around here and probably on the top here. Spark plugs are very cheap. They're under like $3. So this would be a nice, easy thing to change every couple years, just to make sure that you're running a nice, clean spark plug. Since we don't have any of those issues, I'm just going to get a wire brush it, and put it back in. Next thing we're going to look at is the oil. So I have my dipstick here. The dipstick's going to tell us the oil level in the engine. So you want to wipe it one time, put it in, pull it out again, and now I can look at the level. So we are about halfway to full. This oil looks pretty dark. I could probably use an oil change. I don't think I did an oil change when I bought this. So maybe we'll do an oil change in another video, but for now I think it's all good. So we're halfway. We can probably add some oil. If I do a change, I'll just drain all the oil and then add all new oil. This engine takes 5W20, so on any car, motorcycle, snowblower, any engine, you always want to use the oil that it's recommended by the manufacturer. It should be labeled very clearly on the engine or in your owner's manual. Very important to use what they recommend. So I don't have any 5W20 in stock, so I'm gonna have to pick some up, and we'll top it off so it gets up to full. Maybe we'll do an oil change, who knows. Look at this. This is my tire pressure gauge in my nice holder from my grandfather's jacket. We're gonna check the tire pressure. Come to you, Mick. Tire pressure is important because your snowblower will move more smoothly if the tires are filled to the right pressure. If they're sagging a little bit like this, we probably want to add a little bit more air. I'm guessing these are around 20 psi. They should be. I'm gonna see what they're actually at. Yeah, not even getting a reading. So we're gonna fill them up probably to 20. We'll see how they look and feel. Normally your tire is going to tell you on here what the max PSI is, and you're going to want to go a little bit under that. These feel good around 25. I was going to do 20. 25 feels really good. They're not super blown, like they're tight, but you can feel a little bit of looseness if you look at my finger here. You don't want them to be overblown, and they look pretty full. So we're going to cap this off and jump to the other side. Okay, so you saw my starting procedure. I used the on key I gave it a little bit of choke. Choke just allows more fuel to go into the engine than air. So I use a little bit of choke, and the pull cord's over here. These use pull cords. You can actually get an electric start kit for this one. I haven't found any that are reasonably priced, so I haven't bought one. Like we saw, it started right up as soon as I sprayed the fluid in there, so I'm not really too worried about it. Eventually I'll get a flap and I'll cover this up so nothing else goes in where the air's supposed to go. Let's talk about the controls a little bit. The first thing, they call these clutches for each of the wheels. It's how you engage each wheel individually to make turns. So I have these levers, one on each side, and when you push it down, the wheels lock into the transmission and they unlock when you pull them out. So if I have this wheel engaged, it's going to turn this wheel so the engine moves to the left. Vice versa, if I have this one, I'm going to turn to the right. If I have them both, I'm going to go straight forward. I don't love this because the gears have grinded together over time. I actually have a parts snowblower where I had to get these wheels and tires off of because the sprocket's actually welded to the wheel, which is kind of a weird design. So the ones that I had before was rounded off so the gears wouldn't engage because it would just slip by. Next we have our auger. When I flip this up, it spins. So this is a two-stage snowblower, which means it has two stages of engagement. This first one spins and pushes snow into here, and then the second stage spins this way to push it out the chute. So a big issue I have with this blower is the second stage. There is a gap. See that gap there between the wall and the lever here? See this gap where my finger is? Obviously, never do this when the engine is running at all. So there's a gap here, which means the snow doesn't totally come out of the chute nicely sometimes if it's very heavy. So I got this piece of rubber off of Amazon. I think it's actually made for snowblowers because it says Paddle Toro on there, made by Oregon. We're gonna have to cut this into 3 pieces. I think it's pretty even. I'm just got my tape measure to make sure. So we saw earlier in the second stage, there's 3. So I have 1, 2, 3 rotors. So each rotor, we're gonna have to put a piece of rubber on, and we're gonna try to measure the length so I can cut it to length. We're going to look at putting rubber flaps on there to close that gap and push the snow out. I have my throttle here, which is how fast the engine is going to spin. So fast to slow. Then I have my gear select. I have 3 forward gears and I have a reverse as well as a neutral for when you're stopped. If I engage this, I'm not going to go anywhere, right, because those hubs are just going to spin and my wheels aren't engaged. So I need to have both wheels engaged and then I'll move forward. I usually run in first or second. Third is very fast on this particular snowblower. I had a friend, Wiley, he said he had like 5 forward speeds, and even if he went up to like 2, he would be sprinting with the snowblower. So they're very fast gears. Usually stay in the lower gears just to push snow more efficiently. This changes our chute direction. It's just a manual lever. And that's it. Thanks for watching another episode of Zack's Odd Garage. Tune in next time we have a full fluids change on Kenley's car. We're doing the oil, transmission fluid, differential fluid, and transfer case fluid. That should be interesting. There'll be a video on putting the flaps on the snowblower. We measured so we could cut 3 pieces and install those. So this should throw snow a lot farther than it used to. The hit miss tank coating, still have to do that, and much more. Like, subscribe, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys want to see. Share with your friends and family. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and have a great rest of your weekend. Follow me on Instagram below. Thanks.